Welcome to another Gradelink websites video. In this tutorial, we're going to go through exactly what you need to do to reorder or reorganize all of the people on your faculty and staff directory. There are a few options when it comes to this, whether it's alphabetical or by title or even in a custom order. So we'll briefly cover each one of those options. As you're already familiar from other videos, the faculty and staff directory is composed of a module that dynamically pulls in individual profiles, and those individual profiles are managed on the back end of the site under a separate tab. It's a custom post type tab, and it could be called faculty, it could be called faculty and staff, it could be staff, it could be team. There's a variety of options, but you should on your website have a separate tab here in the sidebar that says one of those items that would indicate that's where you manage your staff members. If you don't have that, chances are you need to have that feature activated on your website. So each of these profiles is individually managed. So I have this tab open in order to show you where you manage that. Now, if we're dealing with the overall order on the page, then we will need to enable Visual Builder on the faculty and staff page or team page, whatever the case may be. And once that loads up, then we're going to click into the settings for the directory module, which is one single module that contains all of the dynamically populated profiles. We're going to click on the module settings, and we have these tabs here. We can actually close the main options tab so we can more easily view all of these. And the one we're going to be concerned with is under loop options. So expand the loop options, and there's a lot of settings in here, but for our purposes in this video, we're going to go to sorting. Now, the default sort order is typically by date, and what's meant by that is for each of these post types, you have a custom publish date. Now, this date can actually give you a lot of flexibility in terms of the order of the staff members, because you may have over time a lot of staff members, some leave, some stay, you add on new staff members, you expand, and so you want to be able to have enough room to be able to add in more people to the profiles without messing up the order. So if you do it by date, you actually have a month, a day, a year, and an actual time, which gives you literally thousands of spaces in between. Let's say if you published something or set the publish date for your first person to January 1st of 2023 and put it at 10:53, then you have as long as you have a time that is after or before that, then you can place another profile in that order. So that is the default. You can simply change the time. Now, if that's too confusing and you just want to start from scratch, you can actually change the sort order to something like menu order. This is also a very common one, and menu order is actually determined. The system will look at the order that is placed here. So if I click or hover over a profile on the faculty on the back end here, click on quick edit, since that's a easier way of accessing this and changing multiple profiles at the same time, then I can change the order. Let's say I would like Dr. McMills to be number 1. So the recommendation here is start with 10. That way you have 10 spaces before and 10 spaces after, that you can actually place other people as the directory changes. So Dr. McMills, let's say they're first. And then let's say we want Dr. Patel to be number 2, just for example. Then we click on update. And because the sort order is by menu order, when we refresh this page, then it'll ascend by 10, 20, 30, or whatever you do. And I do recommend doing at least intervals of 10 with the order. So if I click on check to save that setting, Now keep in mind, everybody else in the directory is currently a 0, so they're all going to show up before the 2 that we changed the setting for. So if we exit the Visual Builder here, and all right, now we're viewing the live page. So if we go down to the bottom, you can see that now Dr. Megan McMills is showing up first, right before Mrs. B. Patel. Now let's say we want Mrs. Cuevas to show up right after Mrs. Patel, then we could put the order as 30 and click Update. Now if we update this, now we should see Mrs. Cuevas is now after Mrs. Patel. So that's by menu order. That gives you a lot of flexibility. You can do the same thing with the date, but sometimes people find the date to be a little bit hard to use since you're dealing with times and dates, and you have to figure out which one is before the other or after the other. So menu order is a nice way of doing it. There is also the option, if we click into the Visual Builder again, you can also automatically filter alphabetically. For example, if we go into the settings for the directory, click on the module settings, close main options, click on loop options, click on sorting, you'll notice that there is a sort order as well. And we can click on, it's not actually name. That's a little bit tricky because the name is referring to the name of the post. But what we want to do is sort by the name that is in the last or first name field. So we're going to pick ACF field. So if you're going to sort by alphabetical order by last name, you want to pick ACF field. Then you choose which ACF field, and you can choose either, typically it's going to be last name or first name. And then you can just keep the ACF field value type as string. And it's going to be ascending, meaning A to Z. If you select descending, it will do Z to A. And you can click on the green check mark here. We'll click on the global menu here and click on the green save button. And we can then see the results of filtering by last name. Click on Exit Visual Builder. And we now have it in alphabetical ascending order. Now if we want to go back to menu order, which is the number as shown here, then we can simply go into Enable Visual Builder and change that setting back to menu order. So once again, we will click into the module, click on the module settings, click on to close the main options since it's an easier way than scrolling all the way down. Click on loop options to expand that. Click on sorting, and we'll change it back to menu order. Now you see there's also other menu orders, but I'm just highlighting the most typical version. So that would be menu order or date, which is the default, or ACF field, and you can sort by that. So that's really all there is to changing the faculty and staff order. So what you'll want to do in order to place all of these when in menu order is go through your whole list of staff on the back end here and click on quick edit for each of them and then place them in the order that you would prefer. It is recommended, again, that you have the order with 10 spaces in between. So if you forget somebody or need to add somebody in between somebody else, you have 10 spaces to do so. All right, that is all there is to it. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Gradelink website support.